Have you ever thought about starting your own podcast? It's so easy with Anchor.
Anchor is a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, and distributing your podcast. Best of all, it's 100% free and ridiculously easy to use.
And now, Anchor can match you with great sponsors who want to advertise on your podcast. That means you can get paid to podcast right away. In fact, that's what we're doing right now by reading this ad. We struggled to find the right way to distribute our podcast, and Anchor made it quick, easy, and free. We're on platforms we had never heard of, and that's all thanks to Anchor doing the hard work.
So, if you have been thinking about starting your own podcast, head on over to anchor.fm/start. That's anchor.fm/start.
Welcome back to Spilling the Mad Tea. We're excited you're joining us again for our unbirthday party, where we'll be spilling the mad tea on all things Disney. I'm Kelly, and as always, I'm joined by Katie, Stephanie, and Rachel. How's everyone today?
We're good.
Hi, doing good.
Everything's good.
Good. The weather's fantastic where I'm at. It's so nice. It's like mid-50s and sunshiny. I took Ollie for a walk today, and I was like, I could just feel spring just like seeping into my skin, and it was fantastic.
We've had weather in the 70s, but it just rained, so it's probably going to get cold again.
Right. Meanwhile, on this side of the country, it's storming.
Sorry about that. You're welcome here whenever. The tulips have started growing in my front yard, and I just feel like a magical spring fairy is just like touching our house.
Does it feel
and
like that
it's
scene in Alice
fantastic.
in Wonderland when she's dancing with the
Da,
flower?
da, 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 da. I don't know any of the words.
All right, back on topic. Today we're going to be discussing our favorite and most missed extinct attractions at the Disney parks. Any Disney parks, those are all on the table. Lately, it seems like every few months we're getting news that a beloved attraction will be closing forever to make way for something new and shiny. But I guess that's progress for you.
Yes, that's progress for ya.
So, have you guys had any permanent attraction closures that have just broken your hearts? Katie, do you want to start this one off?
Girl, yes. Great Movie Ride closing was probably one of the saddest days of my life. And because it was so soon. It was like, oh, hey, we're closing Great Movie Ride. And then it was like, there, it's closing. Like,
Next
here,
week.
You have like 4 weeks. Go. So Steph and I made the last minute trip. We went and spent some time on the Great Movie Ride and on Ellen's Energy Adventure, which although I miss, it's not really breaking my heart because it was definitely needed. But Great Movie Ride, I feel like, was timeless, or at least could have been timeless. They could have constantly added to it and updated it. It could have been one of those rides that really evolved and like stayed with the park. I know that they're kind of like re-theming Hollywood Studios, but it was so good. Why would you take out a ride that was already good?
And I think like it was especially heartbreaking for us because we spent so much of our program
We
riding
did. Who
that
knows
ride.
why? We won't talk about that.
Yeah.
Are
Nobody-
you sure?
But we did. We rode it so much.
Yeah, basically any time that like us as an apartment had time off together, which happened, I think like the couple of afternoons after my classes and Kelly had gotten off of work, and if like Katie had an off day and Rachel had an off day, anytime we were all off, we'd go to Hollywood Studios. I don't know why. Maybe because Janetta was working. We're like, oh, we'll go say hi to Janetta. And we just always ended up going to Hollywood Studios more than any other park. I think I went to Magic Kingdom twice on my program, but Hollywood Studios like a million times. But the first thing we always did was go to the Great Movie Ride. And we'd always ask and wait for the front row. And it was like a real bonding experience. We probably went like once a week and rode the Great Movie Ride. We got to know so many of the cast members working there. We really I felt like part of their family. So it was particularly heartbreaking to see that ride close.
Yeah, it really was. And for it to be so sudden. Illuminations is another one that is really breaking my heart right now. But I feel like I did have enough, like, hey, Illuminations is closing. Go see it. Go cherish it while you can. Whereas Great Movie Ride was like, oh, by the way, we're closing this down. Nobody cares about it. Everybody hates Great Movie Ride.
Which is completely
Oh,
false.
yeah, absolutely. But like that's what it felt like.
Yeah. So Rachel, what about you? Do you share the great movie ride heartbreak?
Oh yeah, because it was just such a big part of our program and us as a fam jam.
As a family unit.
So many inside jokes and so much
So many.
just like it's real sad that we can't go ride it.
I feel like we're speaking of Voldemort at this point because I want to say the name, but I can't say the name.
No, you cannot.
Hope he's not listening.
There were a bunch of very attractive boys that worked at the Great Movie Ride, okay? We'll leave it at that.
That's CB
Yeah, ready when you are, CB.
photography.
Oh, you see, they should never close Great Movie Ride. Look at all these great memories. Great memory ride, am I right?
Right, like from the beginning when you walked in the queue and you were standing in front of like the black and white movie screen watching like The Searchers and got some serious man candy there. And then you'd go on the ride and during the fall of 2011, there were one or two nice looking cast members who would take us through the movies. And then, yeah, it was a good ride.
Just like thinking about not getting to ride that again and like never hearing that spiel again and like wondering who we were going to get as our like cast member for that trip. It's really sad.
And finding all the hidden Mickeys and pointing them out to each other, even though we've ridden the ride 5 million times and know exactly where
The
they
only
are.
one to sing along.
Singing the Yellow Brick Road song only for one person.
But then when they changed it and it wasn't the like actual cast members spiel, it was the recording, I was like, this is the okay movie ride. It is no longer great.
Maybe that did make the blow a little bit easier
Yeah.
because it did go from the great movie ride to the okay movie ride because they added this stupid.
Yeah, that was
Turner
not a
Classic
good
movies.
change. Usually when they refurb a ride, it's like for the better. That one was
Mm-mm.
not great.
I was not impressed.
Yeah. I'm also really gonna miss the like montage, the like final room scene with like
Yes.
I want
Oh,
that. I
yeah.
want that on like. I mean, not a DVD because it's not long, but like, I want to like wake up in the morning and have that as an alarm, like on a screen.
Yeah. It's got to be on YouTube somewhere. I'm sure we could find it.
I mean, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, but also with the great movie ride, Snow White's Scary Adventures was a little sad for me.
Oh yeah, true.
I really enjoyed that, and they replaced it with Princess.
I was gonna say, I think that one's less sad for me because I know it still exists in Disneyland. So I'm like, it's not wiped off the planet like the Great Movie Ride is.
Right. Yeah, like if you really want to ride it, you can see it again. And I mean, it's not like you totally lost Snow White's presence in the park because you did get the Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, which is really cool, with the iconic like dancing scene in it. So I'm happy with that.
I'm with Rachel on this. Like,
I really liked
I
it.
really liked
Aw.
it too. And like Seven Dwarves, I've ridden it once because I refuse to wait in that long line because it's not that fun to me.
Yeah, it ain't that great.
Controversial, I guess. I don't know, but I was very underwhelmed. I'm glad I had a fast pass when I did ride it. But like Snow White Scary Adventures, like actually did scare me. Like it had some little creepy points in it. And yeah, I'm with Rachel on that one. That one was sad.
Maybe that's why I wasn't as sad to see it go because like that kind of scared me as a kid. I didn't want to ride that.
I can see that. I can see that too because it was a little creepy. But like, I mean, like Kelly said, I like the Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, but it ain't all of that.
I'm not gonna
to me.
wait 3 hours for it, or even like an hour for it. I don't think I'd wait an hour for
I
it.
mean, I don't want to wait 3 hours for anything.
Mm-mm. But I mean, I guess I liked what they did, like inside the mine, like with the faces and the new technology and all that. That's really cool. But I don't have to ride it a lot. Maybe if I was like 10 years of age and younger, it would be amazing.
Yeah, riding it with Ren, my niece, is like pretty magical. She's like, yeah, it's really cool.
Aww.
That would be cute.
Well, then I need to ride it with her. But yeah, and I'm sad about Ellen, like extremely sad about Ellen. Like
I'm sad to lose Ellen's presence, but I wasn't sad to lose that ride. I mean, I was sad to lose the ride, but I don't know.
It's a
it needed
45
to be
minute
updated.
Yeah.
ride. Like that is too long.
Right.
I never rode it because I never wanted to dedicate that chunk of time to.
I rode it every time.
That's insane.
Every
That's
time.
dedication. Yeah, I don't think I could.
Oh, I loved it because I love her. I love her.
They should give her something else in the park.
You know they ain't gonna
I
do
mean,
that.
I know, but I'm just saying they should.
And this is not an attraction, but Pizza Planet.
I don't really understand why they got rid of it when it kind of fits with like all of the new Toy Story stuff they were putting in.
They could have just moved it over there. Like they didn't have to have that Woody's Lunchbox thing and sell
Yeah.
sandwiches. Just have pizza.
I thought Woody's Lunchbox was going to be like a quick service and was going to be like a cutesy little like quick
No.
service area where you're a toy and you're in like a lunchbox or something. It's not. It's like a pop-up cart. Yeah, it's a cart. It's not. Why would you get rid of Pizza Planet?
The thing with Toy Story Land is you're shrunken down and you're in Andy's backyard. So Pizza Planet can't be in Andy's backyard. So that's why it's not over there.
Oh.
It could have been outside of Andy's yard.
I really wanted the Pizza Planet that's in the movie because the Pizza Planet that was Pizza Planet, it wasn't really, I mean, it was cool, but it was not what was in the movie. I wanted an alien soda dispenser and I wanted to win. I don't get why you could not win the green aliens in the claw machine.
That's so true. I don't know how many times we ate at Pizza Planet and bitched about that the entire time we were eating.
Katie, I might edit this out, but do you remember when you took your underwire out of your bra and put it in the photo book?
Yes, I think about that every time I pass because it's still like the Muppets pizza thing now, and I'm like, I wonder if the machines are the same. You could totally keep that in. I got no shame.
But like when we went to Hollywood Studios just a couple of weeks ago, Pizza Rizzo wasn't even open.
Oh, really?
Like they're not.
It's so boring looking.
Yeah.
Because they started like reinvesting in the Muppets, and I think maybe with the new Disney Plus, there's going to be some more Muppets material. Rumor has it.
Ew.
No, I could live without that. They could have taken all that down and put some more Star Wars stuff, and I'd be fine with that. But
see, I would have been happy with a bigger Toy Story Land, and they could have taken out all the Muppet stuff. That would have been awesome. You could have had like Pizza Planet, and like you could have rethemed that area to like outside of Andy's backyard.
And they did the Incredibles thing.
Oh yeah, we didn't even go look at the Incredibles
it was weird.
thing when we went.
I didn't either.
It was
I didn't
empty
go that far.
when we were there.
I did not go that far.
I think we have to cut Hollywood Studios just a tiny bit of slack because it's in such like a flux right now. It's just
It is. It's like when you go over to your friend's house and they're renovating a room. Like the house is still clean, but like it's still a mess.
Yeah. So I think we'll give them a few years to sort themselves out because it's.
Yeah, I don't have to go back over there for a while, I don't think. I mean, I saw it just this past February and I'm like, okay, you do your thing. Star Wars
is
you
going to
thing,
do
I
its
don't really
thing.
care. Sorry about it. Well, it's going to do its thing without me because I'll go in it and I'll look at it and I'll see it, but like I'm not all into that. I don't care.
And like Hollywood Studios is Jerry's favorite park. Even like right now, Jerry's my husband. He would stay in that park and just ride Star Tours, Rock and Roller Coaster, and Tower of Terror, like just in rotation. Like that's all he wants to do when he wants to eat and he wants to ride those 3 rides over and over and over again. So like that's his favorite park. But it's definitely changed a lot since so much shut down. Like it doesn't feel, especially when I'm there without you guys, it doesn't feel like the park that it used to feel like because Great Movie Ride's gone. You know, it's just in a discombobulation.
Yeah, I have such strong memories of that park, and I don't feel like it's the same park at all.
Yeah.
Not that that's bad. It's just different, and it just makes me miss like what was. But you know, things change. That's progress for you.
Yeah.
Right.
So Stephanie, do you have some attractions to add to this heartbreaking list?
Yeah, well, speaking of rides that I think I'm most sad about because like I just have good memories on them, like Great Movie Ride. I also have great memories with you guys riding Heimlich's Choo Choo Train at California Adventure. I think it was just like so funny. Sadly, they took down all of A Bug's Land to make room for some Marvel goodness coming, which I think will be exciting. But when we rode Heimlich's Choo Choo Train, I think we were just on like having a giggle fit. We must have been so tired and cold. During our college program, we took a trip out to California because we were like, oh, we're going to get them for free. Like we're cast members. Let's go. So basically all we were paying for was like our plane ticket and the hotel. But November in Florida is apparently much warmer than November in California. So we all like underpacked. We're like freezing the whole time. It was raining. And we were just kind of like giggling our way through. We were all like so happy to be there, but freezing and a little like tired and jet lagged
We
and
were a bit delirious.
totally. By the time we rode this ride, we were just, it's like a little children's ride. And we thought it was the funniest thing ever. Him going like, candy corn, I thought that was a vegetable. I say that in my head all the time. And then at the end, when you're like getting off the ride, he goes, I miss you already.
Yeah.
We say that to each other all the time. It's like this short little cheesy kids ride that like really has had lasting memories for
Every
us.
single time we're with each other in person and we have to say goodbye, like that, we don't say goodbye anymore. We say, I miss you already.
I say it to other people and then realize like, oh, you have no idea what I'm talking
Right?
about.
They don't understand anything.
Yeah, that was really cute. I like seeing the bites taken out of like all the huge food. I thought it was just really cute. Yeah.
So funny.
We have all kinds of pictures of that too, by the way, so we'll have to post it.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. And I think another ride that I miss because of the memories is definitely Maelstrom. That was, I think that was probably my most heartbreaking ride to say goodbye to.
Yeah.
Because I was so pissed, still pissed that they replaced it with Frozen Ever After.
Mm.
Like, I get it. Like, you have like this like really productive money making property that you want to put in the parks really quickly, but to replace like put it in Norway, which is like an actual country and like a real land, like a real place, and put Arendelle into Norway, which is a fictional land. I just thought it didn't match up with the rest, like with the purpose of World Showcase. And so that kind of bothered me.
You literally have fantasy land.
But I feel like the direction that Epcot's kind of heading in is more IP in the parks because they're putting the Ratatouille ride in Paris.
Totally.
Which, I mean, I'm fine with that because they're not closing anything down in Paris to put Ratatouille in, you know?
Also, Ratatouille takes place in actual Paris, not in like a fantasy land that's based off of Paris.
Yeah, that's very true.
And I just remember like the best part about the ride was that there was never any wait. And so like you would be walking around and like drinking and eating around World Showcase and you'd be like, oh, I just want to like get off my feet for a minute. Let's go ride Maelstrom. And it was fun. Like it's a log flume. It's got like serious drops and it was in the dark and there were trolls and it was fun. And like I didn't really know what was going on, but I liked it anyway. So that one was really sad because I remember like riding that with my sister and we'd make sure to ride it every night that we were in Epcot. And now it's a little harder to do when there's like a 90-minute wait to do so. I mean, the ride's cute. I'll give it that.
Yeah, it's super cute. I can say that, and I cannot deal with Elsa. I just can't. But it wasn't worth replacing that. It just wasn't worth it.
Because I feel like at least you used to learn something about Norway. Like they talked about like their folklore and that there were polar bears. And like as a kid, you don't know where like I didn't know where Norway was, but I knew that it was somewhere where polar bears lived. So you like know it's up north. And there were like oil rigs and it's a big fishing town. Like you pick up on things as a kid and you like learn things about Norway. Now, if I ride that ride as a kid, I'm learning nothing about Norway, which is kind of sad.
To be fair, like, I get it. Because as a kid, Epcot was my absolute least favorite park. So I understand that the changes are necessary.
I get it. I just don't like it. Yeah. But you know what a change that I don't get was the removal of Spectrum Magic. I remember seeing this parade on my first trip, and it blew my little 9-year-old mind. When someone like in the park had told us like, oh, have you seen the night parade yet? And we were like, no, there's a parade at night. How does that work? Like I've only seen like St. Patrick's Day parades or like I think our Girl Scout troops did a parade. Like I had never seen a parade on this scale before, let alone one at night. And all of the lights just it blew my mind. It still does. I think the songs are really fun. The spinning floats are so cool. And I don't know why they took that out and replaced it with like an older version of Main Street Electrical Parade. That was a weird thing to me. And now there is no night parade.
I don't understand why there's no night parade. You have such a big opportunity to like keep people at the parks until the night parade. Keep them at the parks spending money until that night parade. And, well, why wouldn't you?
I
Why
don't
wouldn't you?
get it.
Well, I feel like there's the fireworks
I
shows
don't
now, and
understand.
those are big enough that people stick around for. But yeah, Spectrum Magic was the one where it had like the people like in the big balls, and it
Yes.
was just like they're like okay.
On this magic night.
Yeah. Oh my God. That's that song. Okay. Oh yeah, I remember that.
And they would have them really like I remember there being like an 11 o'clock one. Like there was one after the last fireworks.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so like the park would be empty. You could go to the very last Spectro Magic and it would feel like they were putting a parade
Yeah.
on for you, especially if you like went to Frontierland and watched it where there was like nobody left in the park. You got like your own
Totally.
private parade.
Although, have you guys seen Paint the Night?
No.
No, we were gonna stay and watch it when we went last year to Disneyland, but I was having major pain in my feet and legs, so we went back to the hotel room. So no, we didn't.
I've seen a video of it.
I would say like that. It's really cool. It's like almost. I feel similarly watching that as I did like when I watched Spectro Magic for the first time because it's still got like the fun lights, like a good soundtrack, but like the technology is kind of amped up a little bit. It's presenting the same emotions and the same magic, but in a more 21st century. It's more modern, and I think it's really cool. So I really like that one.
I watched Paint the Night on YouTube because I had to do a name tag for it, so that's my knowledge of it. And all the floats are really cool. It was like mesmerizing because they use like LED lights so they can do like whatever they want with them. And that was really cool.
Yeah, it's sick, and the floats are huge too. Like they have a full size like Mack truck.
Yeah.
For like the cars section of it.
Yeah.
That's what stood out to me the most when I watched it. I was like, holy
I think the name tag I did was it was like one half was Main Street Electrical Parade and then the other half was Paint the Night. So I had to watch them both kind of like at the same time, and it was like, look how far they've come with like.
Yeah.
I mean, they're essentially like the same idea, you know, like a really like a lot of lights, a lot of like really fun music and stuff. But they're just opposite ends of the technology spectrum. So I guess I can talk about my heartbreaking attraction, which is Wishes. When I heard that Wishes was going away, I think my heart like actually sank because it held such a special place in my heart because it was the nighttime fireworks show that was happening on our college program, and the one I watched when I graduated from high school and I went for a trip, and it lasted from October 2003 to May 2017, so 14 years.
Wow. That's ages in Disney years.
Yeah, you get an attachment to it, and it was hosted by Jiminy Cricket and the Blue Fairy, and there was just like a host of different Disney characters, like little sound bites of them, and you would hear them, and then Tinkerbell would fly over the Magic Kingdom to begin with, and it's just such a special fireworks show to me. There were 683 fireworks in that show, which I didn't know that.
Wow.
Yeah. And I think I couldn't watch that show without crying. Like when I think Peter Pan would be like off to Neverland or something like that, and I would just like start bawling like as soon as he said that. Like I couldn't handle it.
But we said that so much on our program all the time.
I think I took for granted too because I worked at Cosmic Rays right underneath the firework. Like I saw it every single night. To me, it was like the signal of like, hey, it's about time to go home. So like, but even still, like watching it, that was the fireworks show of my program, and that was what I heard it. Like that was the soundtrack of my program. And in the time between its final show in May 2017 and the time that our program ended, all of 2012 to 2017, every time I went to the parks and I heard like the first few notes of Wishes, like I was just a mess because it was so much more than a fireworks show. It was our program. It was my time at work. It was my time with you guys. So I was very sad to see it go. And Happily Ever After can be the best fireworks show in the world, but I'm still not gonna like it because I.
But it's the best.
It's not Wishes. And
But
I think
it's not Wishes.
I
but
think
it's
Wishes,
so good.
it was so special in its like simplicity. It didn't need like a flashy show on the castle or like all this extra stuff. Like it was just fireworks and fantastic music, and you like felt that in
It
your
was magic.
soul. It was just so special. And well, yeah, when I heard that it was not going to be anymore, I was devastated. So let's move on to some less sad and devastating questions. If you could bring back any attraction, which one would you be? Which one would you be? So if you could be an attraction, what would you be? Quick answer, no explanation. If you could be an attraction, which one would you be? Katie, go.
I would be the Aladdin meet and greet.
Rachel.
Test track.
Stephanie.
Haunted Mansion.
Tower of Terror. Okay, great. Now we got that out of the way. If you could bring back any attraction, which one would it be? And would you change anything about it? Stephanie, go.
I never got to see Cranium Command in real life, but have you guys seen this?
Negative.
So I watched a video today, and it was part of the Wonders of Life Pavilion next to like Body Wars and the Making of
okay.
Me.
Yeah.
It was in there, and it was like the inside of like functioning of like a 12-year-old boy's brain. And it had like this little cartoon character that was like in charge. They'd be like, left brain, you do this, right brain, you do this. And the stomach would be like, I'm getting kind of hungry. And I was like, well, I guess it was fitting for the time it was around in like the 90s. It seemed appropriate. Like the humor was spot on with what we grew up with. But I thought it would be a really cool overlay to put like Inside Out into that like brain. You're basically like sitting in a theater, like as if you are the brain. So
Ooh.
you see like vision out of two eyes, and you like you get like it's like a first person view as if you were in somebody's head. And I was like, that's Inside Out. That's exactly what that movie was. And people keep talking about like overlaying Inside Out into Journey into Imagination, but it would be so much more fitting to put it in Cranium Command.
Huh. I'm gonna have to look that up because I remember the Wonders of Life Pavilion and like going and spending time in there, but I don't remember that. So I'll have to look it up and see if that like jogs my memory of little like 8-year-old me going to Epcot to do that.
Yeah, well, apparently I never remember. I never did this ride, but it was open until 2004. And I was like, I could have done this ride. And then it was seasonal until 2007. And I'm like, that's really not that long ago.
Let's be real though. If there was a ride about going inside the head of a 14 or 12-year-old boy, it would just be porn.
And food.
Yeah, there was a food fight scene. But then I was thinking another thing I would love to bring back is the Streets of America. Like I get they took it down for like a worthy purpose. However, I think they took it down like right before it could have blown up, because like everyone is obsessed with taking like these Instagram
Yes.
pictures all over
Yep.
Disney with like all these walls. And I'm like, they really could have like marketed the crap out of the Streets of America, given it a fresh coat of paint, and made it like a photo shoot
Mhm.
opportunity for all of these like Instagram people. So those are the ones that I would bring back and kind of like alter a little bit in future Disney parks. How about you, Katie?
I would bring back Great Movie Ride. I know we already talked about it, but I think they could have just done so much with that. The Chinese theater is so iconic, and I know they're keeping the Chinese theater, but I'm worried that the mini Mickey adventure thing is not really going to feel at home there. Whereas a ride through all the great movies, it fit. It was
Yeah.
perfect. And it could have been updated. You could have added more to it. You could have shortened some scenes, taken away some scenes, like instead of having a cowboy or a
Muggsy.
bank robber, right? No, those were the same ones. Gangster. Thank you. How did
It
I
was-
forget that?
Yeah, how did you forget the gangster? Come on now.
Girl, I don't know. But instead of having those, you could have like taken just like have one bad guy scene, and I don't know. It could have been changed. It could have been updated. They could have put their IP in it if that's what they wanted
Yeah.
to do. But
I never really understood why they didn't do that. Like I never felt an emotional attachment to Alien. Like you could have put in like put in a more current movie there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So I would bring that one back, and I would have them update it every couple years
Mhm.
and add in some of their new movies. Add in some of the things you're trying to promote. If you have a new series of movies, put in some Marvel movies,
Yeah.
or use your purchases, your new Fox purchase. Use that. Put some things in it that
And you could
couldn't
just
before.
recycle like old sets. Like when you're done filming the movie, be like, okay, let's bring that set down. Throw it in one of the rooms there.
And take out the terrible Turner Classic Movie narration.
Yeah, that'd be the
Yes,
first thing to
God.
go.
Yeah, that needed to go. But that's what I would change in an ideal world where I got to make decisions. Rachel, what would you make decisions on?
Well, I would make decisions on most of all of my stuff, and I feel like most of this stuff is from Hollywood Studios.
Well,
We're
it's a
clearly-
changing park, so
We're clearly not happy with it
Yeah.
right now. But Great Movie Ride, yes. Backlot tour, huge. The Animation Academy, the little drawing.
Yes. I miss that so much. I like that it's Star Wars now because I can go meet Kylo Ren there, and that's like one of my favorite things to do ever. But I miss going in and being able to draw and do all
Really
that kind
good
of
place.
stuff.
I loved it there. The Honey I Shrunk the Kids playground. I remember that from my first trip when I was little, all the way up to the college program, because Janetta worked there and we always talked about it. But I remember playing on it when I was like 6.
And it was another one of those really good opportunities for unique pictures, Instagram worthy.
Oh yeah.
And it's a great place for kids to run because like the Boneyard at Animal Kingdom, like I feel like each park needs its little playground area for these tiny children who can't go on all these rides. They need that place to go just like run off steam.
Burn off some steam, yeah.
I feel like those places are becoming less and less.
Right. But maybe even make it something else. Like it doesn't even necessarily have to be Honey I Shrunk the Kids. Like, I mean, it's kind of old and like we know about it, but like kids this age, I feel like they wouldn't,
They could have rethemed that for Toy Story and made you a toy.
Yeah, I'm surprised. Maybe there's plans for an additional like a Toy Story playground in Andy's backyard because that would be adorable and it's needed. Like and it could be like a nice little expansion.
Yeah, because it needs to be so
thing.
much bigger. Like it's just not that big. Like
I wish it was an all Pixar area and not just limited to Andy's backyard. I wish that they had taken that and just made it this entire Pixar land, so it's more general. You can have more things in it, but that's for another episode. I do want to talk about that.
yeah, and have different sections of like different movies, like really good ones, like Timeless, Long Living, like so they don't obviously have to change it. But then another one I named was the Hunchback musical they had there.
I never got to see that. And Hunchback of Notre Dame is one of my favorite Disney movies. It's so well done and the story is so good and it's so underrated.
It is.
I feel like that's a fever dream for me. I forget that like it's real and other people had seen
we
it.
saw
and
it.
I didn't just imagine it.
Yeah, I wish I could have seen it. I have like an entire Hunchback table in my Disney room of all stuff for the Hunchback of Notre Dame.
But yeah, so the Hunchback was really good. I remember that vividly from when I was 6 years old. It's so good. And like you said, it was underrated. And then I was kind of researching like where it was at because after a while you don't know where all this stuff took place. And it was they enclosed it after that was over. And apparently for a while, so what I've read, I don't know if this is true, but they used it for storage for the Christmas lights. And then they changed it into where the Frozen sing-along thing was back there. And then now it's obviously gone. But it was still there. I mean, it wasn't a big whole ordeal, but they didn't like tear it down after the musical was over.
Yeah, so the ride that I chose to bring back would be Studio Backlot Tour at Hollywood Studios. We're just going to stay in Hollywood Studios for this whole question.
This is a Hollywood Studios episode.
Yeah.
So here's some fun facts I didn't know. It ran in some kind of iteration from 1991 to September of 2014. So that's a pretty long time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the original ride was 2 hours.
I'm so I'm so here for this.
Ew.
I'm so here for this.
Yes. 2 hours long. It loaded in the animation courtyard, so over where the launch bay is now, and would take you through all the studios. I mean, it put the studios in Hollywood studios. Yeah, you would see how special effects were done. There was like the huge you were like on a ship. They would choose like a random guest.
I got chosen.
Oh, I never got chosen, but I probably wouldn't.
Me
have
and my
wanted to be
sister
chosen.
got picked. We got soaked. Yeah, it was fun.
Buckets and buckets of water dumped on you, and then there was Catastrophe Canyon. They would show you how they did like fire special effects, and they would have like a tanker like sliding towards you, and then like this huge waterfall would come. And then there was a walkthrough part where you could walk through this like prop warehouse and see props from movies, and then there was like the little tram. I think the tram took you to Catastrophe Canyon, and then it would go through like a back lot where there's sets and houses and different vehicles from different movies. And I know that the Hollywood Studios is kind of moving away from the studios thing. I don't think it's going to be Hollywood Studios for very
Yeah.
much longer. But I don't know. It was just so cool. And I feel like if it was brought back today, you could add in how some of the park attractions are built. You could tie in those IPs and things that are already in the parks and just kind of show how those special effects are done in the parks and kind of do like that. And then props from old attractions that have closed down, just put those in the warehouse. I think that would be really cool to go walk through and see.
So when you said the original was 2 hours, they could totally make that a tour, like a backstage. There's every time I go, there's a new tour you can pay to go do. That could just be a new, they could come up with like a tour that's like reminiscent of the Studio Backlot tour. And
that always stands out for me because I've always loved movies and I want to know how things are done. I love like set decorations and all that and set design and stuff like that. So to be able to kind of go through and see how that was done, I loved it. I remember one trip I took, I think I was in like middle school, and they used to have like costumes on display, and your tram would go through by the costuming department, and they had costumes from the Lizzie McGuire movie, and I was like, oh my God. I think they had like the ending outfits of like the purple outfit that Lizzie wore, and then like the green outfit that Isabella wore. And I was like, that's the outfit set, because I was obsessed with Lizzie McGuire, and like that sticks out in my mind. So like I have like really good memories from that, and I just think it was such a unique attraction that no longer exists and you can't find it anywhere else. So my next question for you guys is, are there some attractions that closed before you got to experience them that you would love to see today? Rachel.
Okay. Mr. Toad's at Walt Disney World. It's one of those that still is in California. We rode it out there. That's the only time I ever got to ride it. But it was replaced by Winnie the Pooh, so I'm okay with it. But I would have liked to have ridden it. Because I don't remember riding it when I was a kid. I do not remember riding it at all. And then
I was going to say, while you're on that, I don't know if you ever noticed, you can see a picture of Mr. Toad in the Winnie the Pooh ride.
Mr. Toad's handing Winnie the Pooh like the deed to the land. Yeah. So Mr. Toad's also in the Pet Cemetery outside of Haunted Mansion.
He's still around.
Fun fact.
Yeah, he's there. And I never went all the way through this, but I wish I had done it then. But when the Epcot little adventure thing was the Kim Possible adventure, I would have much rather taken part in that than Perry.
Yeah, I never got into Phineas and Ferb, but I love me some Kim Possible.
Oh my gosh. And it was still Kim Possible on the program, and we were always like, we're going to do it.
No, we wasted so much time just sitting on the couch in our apartment.
Watching Vampire Diaries.
Oh, yeah, we did.
True Blood. Oh, that was rough. Yeah, we could have did it. We could have spent the whole day doing that, but we didn't.
Coulda, woulda, shoulda.
Yeah, coulda, shoulda, woulda. Yep. All right. Stephanie, go.
So I never got to ride any iteration of If You Had Wings / If You Could Fly / Delta Dream Flight / Disney's Take Flight. They were all basically the same ride, but had different sponsorships. It was first sponsored by Eastern Airlines, and then no one, and then Delta Airlines, and then no one. So it was finally replaced by Buzz Lightyear's Space Ranger spin. But it's still on the same track. But I think it would have been cool to see an attraction so focused on flight when now that's such a big part of my life as a flight attendant. Because they used to they talked about like featured destinations that either Eastern Airlines or Delta was flying to. There was a big Delta 767 plane in the queue. And they talked about like the history of flight. So I just think it would have been cool to see something.
Was it from like the perspective of maybe like soaring, like you're in the sky flying, or was it more of like just like the destination and like seeing oh Jesus, I just lost my entire train of thought. What was the ride like?
So the video I only watched the video of Delta Dream Flight, and that one took you like the queue looked like it was like the boarding gate of an airplane, and you like walked on board, and they had the like flight deck and nose of a Boeing 767 that you would kind of go into, where you would get on the like Space Ranger, like Buzz Lightyear ride vehicle, and you would kind of go through. It was almost videos like in the Three Caballeros, when you see like the videos like of Mexico, to be like, oh, look at Mexico. Mexico looks fun to travel to. But it was also kind of like Soarin', because they had parts with like this stuntman on an airplane, like soaring over things. So yeah, it was kind of like a mix of, get that sponsorship, but also teach the guests a little something. Yeah, it was gone as of 1998, so I didn't go there before then. And then another one I wish I would have gotten the chance to see closed in 1999 for good, which is Horizons over in Epcot. From the YouTube video I watched, it seems like it's kind of a sequel to the Carousel of Progress, which I love. Whereas the Carousel of Progress kind of tracks the 1900s, Horizons really talked about the future and where humanity was going in the future. So it talked about like living underwater and living in space, growing food in the desert. And it was just a really cool compliment to Carousel of Progress. And I thought it was really similar to Spaceship Earth, how that kind of leaves off at the end with like talking about tomorrow. Well, like then you go to Horizons and they show you what tomorrow looks like.
Yeah, when you said space, desert, and ocean, I was like, that's like at the end of Spaceship Earth when you like tippy tapping on the screen to decide what your future is going to be.
Yeah, I think I would have really enjoyed that.
Yeah, Horizons is has like a following.
It's got a cult following. Yeah. How about you, Katie? Do you have anything that you would have loved to experience?
I have two that I really would have liked to experience, and one of them is surprising for anybody who knows me because I'm usually not a germaphobe, but when it comes to shared water, I can't handle it. So like I'm not a big water parks fan. Even Disney water parks, which I know are immaculate and I know they keep them clean and they've got the best technology out there for a safe, clean water park. Like the idea of sharing a body of water with a bunch of people really grosses me out. But like all the pictures of River Country and just hearing what it was like, I think that would have been a really cool water park.
Yeah.
And I would love to have seen Discovery Island as well. Obviously, because it was sort of the first Disney zoo. Not that it was truly a zoo, but it was the first place that Disney had that you could go observe wildlife and learn about wildlife. And I would have loved to see like those first steps towards what is Animal Kingdom today.
Yeah, I think I remember when we got like our vacation planning VHSs and CDs and stuff like that. River Country was like always featured on there, and I was like, that looks so cool. And I never got to experience. I think it either closed before I got to my first trip down there, or it might have been open. I can't remember the dates for that, but yeah, we just never went, and it's gone now. I think I've seen some stuff about Discovery Island that like the music still plays on Discovery Island and the lights are still lit and there's like jars of animal specimens and stuff. I don't know how believable that is.
That's what the urban legends say.
Yeah, I don't know how believable that is.
And I think that's another reason why I have such a curiosity with River Country and Discovery Island, because they were left to just sort of deteriorate instead of properly being demolished, and there wasn't anything that came in over them. Like with most Disney closures, they just closed and got left there.
They just abandoned them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So God, I would have loved to have seen them alive. I mean, I would love to see them abandoned too, but
Yeah, I think anything abandoned by Disney just kind of takes on its own like persona and gets its own like urban legends and stories and all this stuff around it.
Totally.
So, but I think I read recently that something's happening to the property that River Country's on, but for the life of me, I can't remember what it
going
is.
to be a resort.
Yeah, new DVC property.
Oh, that's just what we need, another DVC property. Great, fantastic.
Heck yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right. You're a DVC-er now.
Whoop, whoop.
So you'll have to like all take us all on a trip there.
Anytime you want to go. I was on the site today.
We can pretend we're in real river country and not the resort that it becomes.
That's so interesting that now, like after all these years, they're like, let's tear down River Country
I think
build
DVC is
another
becoming so
hotel.
lucrative for them now, though. They're like, how can we make more of this?
I mean, yeah, I gave them $14,000 overnight.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
That hurts my heart. That just you go girl.
Kelly, are there any attractions that close for good that you wanted to do?
Yes, I'm gonna take us over to downtown Disney.
Oh.
Yeah, because it was still downtown Disney when this attraction was around, and we're gonna go to the
It's always downtown
Mhm.
Disney.
we're gonna go to the Adventurers Club. Have you guys heard of this?
yes,
I had not heard of it at all.
Really, Stephanie, you've heard
I
of it?
have. Yeah.
Okay, so it was a bar in Pleasure Island, and it ran from May 1989 to September 2008.
Ooh.
This one also has a kind of cult following, similar to Horizons.
Totally.
It was like if you took the Jungle Cruise and put it in a bar, but like even better. Like the Skipper's Canteen is probably going to be like the closest that even exists now to this. It was like a wonderful, whimsical place. It was set in 1937 on New Year's Eve. So like every night was New Year's Eve in this club. And it was designed by Joe Rohde and Roger Cox, which Joe Rohde is pretty much responsible for the construction and design of Animal Kingdom. So if that kind of tells you the
Mhm.
same kind of vibe.
I love me some Joe Rohde.
Yeah, if that tells you like the same kind of vibe that the Adventurers Club had. There was cast members, animatronics, and puppets. They all put on like improv shows like every night. I think there were different rooms and different like themes in each room, and it just seems really, really cool. And I wish I could have gotten to experience that. I was too young in 2008 to go to a bar, but it just seems so cool and such like a unique concept. And I wish it was still around. And like after it closed in September 2009, the props from Adventurers Club were sent to Hong Kong Disneyland to be a part of Mystic Point and their version of the Haunted Mansion, which is not haunted, it's mystic.
It sounds like such a good concept. I can't believe that it's something that they would ever
Yeah.
close.
It's such a Disney thing, I think. Like I feel like it's just pure like Disney.
Which is always my complaint with, I guess it's Disney Springs now. I don't like the Disney Springs redo because it doesn't feel enough Disney
Yeah.
to me. If you're gonna have bars, if you're gonna have a ton of shops and things, like make Trendy and Adventurers Club and like make them a bar and a restaurant and a shop, but Disney.
Yeah. I'm Disney Springs is not a place that I feel like I have to go to anymore. A few weeks ago, I went to like World of Disney, and I felt like just all the Disney-ishness of it had been drained out. There's
no Disney, none.
It's an outlet mall now with expensive restaurants and stupid expensive stores, and I don't need any part of that. I'm bringing back the World of Disney with the whimsical characters all over the place and the different rooms all separated out, and then bring back Adventurers Club.
Yeah. Bring back the downtown Disney where you feel like you're at a fifth park and not a shopping center.
But like to come from, I would assume what the company's perspective was that most people, like when we were living down there, downtown Disney was always empty. Like when I went to Disney Springs the other night, it was packed. It was so busy, so crowded. And I think a lot of those people are locals. People who like might not want Disney in their face all the time will like go to Disney Springs for just like a fun night out. So I think they're bringing in so much more money that way than they were when it was like a fifth park and you were getting like tourists on like the first or last day of their trip. Because I don't remember seeing too many locals just like coming to downtown Disney. So I think from like a monetary perspective, it was a smart decision to kind of rebrand and pull Disney out of it a little bit.
See, I'm kind of fine with that, but I wish there were still like the sections. You could have your more upscale restaurants, dining, and all that in one area, and then have your marketplace.
The marketplace should have just stayed the
I
same
think you
way.
could have like a marketplace, an upscale like shopping area, and then have your like Lanuba and your entertainment stuff, which like the Pleasure Island. I just wish it could have been kept separate and keep that just tiny bit of Disney magic in Disney Springs.
I agree wholeheartedly.
I also don't like the name Disney Springs because there's also Saratoga Springs, Coronado Springs. Like, stop with the springs. I can't take it anymore. Yeah, it's just, it became so generic to me. And Adventurers Club, back to the whole point of this podcast episode, Adventurers Club, I feel, even though I never got to experience it, I feel like would have had that touch of something different added to Disney Stupid Springs.
Yeah, I feel like as a Disney fan, I feel like I really missed out by not going to the Adventurers Club because I feel like other like die-hard Disney fans were obsessed with the Adventurers Club, and I feel like I can never get on their level because I can't. The doors are shut.
Alrighty, so we've talked about the many heartbreaking closures that we've been through, but I'm wondering if there are any attractions that you were happy to see go, that you were just like, bye, waving to you, I don't want to see you anymore. So let's talk about some of those. Katie.
So I hated Captain EO. I thought it was weird. I thought it was just like strange and off-putting and not very Disney. I know there was kind of like a cult following to it.
Disagree.
But like I never understood it. I never understood the hype. It was just strange.
I never saw it.
Especially when they like brought it back after it was gone for a while after he died. It made even less sense because it wasn't even like the style of the time anymore. It was this weird like 80s style
But I feel like that's how all of Epcot is.
I mean, you're not entirely wrong, but like it's that way in a good way. This was like I felt like somebody slipped me some drugs before I walked in the theater. Yeah, it was weird.
I liked it. I'm a Michael Jackson person though, so.
But like think about how like niche that is. Like if you're not a Michael Jackson fan, like it didn't make a whole lot of sense.
But like a lot of the world is.
I know, but that would be like now like putting in some random big artist like an attraction for them. It just wouldn't make sense. So I was glad to see that go.
Rachel, what are you happy to see leave?
I was real happy to see Stitch go away. He was not my favorite.
Well, okay, that's what I was going to say too. But technically, if you look on the website, it says that it's temporarily closed.
I feel like it's gone, but they haven't decided what they're going to put there yet.
But there was that picture that went viral that had like Stitch's skin removed and it was just like his skeleton. So they're like, we're pretty sure it's closed forever, but I'm still a little weary to get my hopes up.
On the same vein as Stitch, I put Alien Encounter, Extraterrestrial Alien Encounter. While we're talking about Stitch, let me just go ahead and throw in. Alien Encounter was one of the first attractions I did when I was 8 years old. My parents didn't know what it was. They took me in. I was strapped down to my seat, and I had an alien licking my neck and breathing in my ear. I hated it, and I thought every other attraction in the park was going to be like that. So I was terrified of everything my entire first trip. So when I went back and saw that it was gone, I was happy. I don't want it to be there.
Was Stitch the same? Like, were they the same thing essentially?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was pretty much the same thing.
They just themed it with Stitch, I guess.
Yeah, I think I like passed out. Like I don't think I passed out, but like I blacked like that memory's blacked out because I was so scared because I was young and I'd never read anything like that and I didn't like the dark in the first place. So I like remember bits and pieces of it. but I vividly remember on our college program, Kubi wanted to ride it. And so, like, the week before we were going to leave, he was like, you have to ride this before we leave. And I wrote it as Stitch, and I was terrified to write it as Stitch because I still remembered being so afraid of the extraterrestrial.
Yeah.
It was still just as bad.
And you're a big Stitch fan. So for like you to not even like it, that's saying something, I think.
Right. I love Stitch, and I still want it out of
You
there.
would get like the chili dog burp, and it was just gross. Like I didn't get it. And I remember I have a very clear memory of when it was Alien Encounter because my mom was trying her hardest to put her hands over my ear so I wouldn't have to hear it, and she couldn't reach me because you're strapped into your seat. So she felt terrible. She was like, "That's the first ride we took this child on, and she's going to be scarred for life." And yeah, it's just bad idea. It was. I have some fun facts about this. It opened in June 1995 after being revamped because Michael Eisner didn't think it was scary enough.
Listen here, Michael Eisner. Go on somewhere.
Mega super scary and just it was horrible. And it closed in October 2003. So goodbye. Not sad to see you go. Did anybody else have anything that they were happy to see go?
I have a question if you don't mind, because I kind of added this in.
Yeah.
That is there anything that's still there that you would like to see go? Or like you're like, let's get it out of town? Because mine would be the Country Bears. Like they have seen their better day. They had their little movie. They're old. They got to go.
I agree. Country Bears gats to go.
Autopia, I could do without.
Oh, girl, yes. It needs to go. They're cutting half the track, so hopefully that's a step in the right direction.
It needs to go, or they need to do electric cars and not have those fumes. Get with the times, go like the kind of test track route and do some electric cars, teach some people about not burning gas burning gas all the time.
They should have just taken the entire track for Tron instead of half of it.
I remember, everyone was so excited when they announced Tron, and we all thought, we're like, yes, finally Autopia is getting replaced with something else. And they're like, no, we're keeping Autopia. And everyone was like, why?
It's actually the Tomorrowland Speedway in
my bad.
Walt Disney World and Autopia and Disneyland. Just putting that out there in case somebody comments on it later. But yeah, it's Tomorrowland Speedway. Anyway, it sucks.
Yeah.
It should go. I don't like it.
I am also not a fan of Journey into Imagination because I think Figment is annoying. I don't think it should go, but I think it should be rethemed. I know that's not a very popular opinion.
I like Figment, but I don't like the scientist guy. I know that he's like a really good actor and like a lot of people like him, but I don't like him in that attraction. They should bring back the Dreamfinder, take it back to its original.
I wouldn't mind that. Yeah, in its current state, I don't like it. I don't think it does anything for the park.
Yeah, like nobody goes on it.
I do.
I know, but there's like never a line, so it's not like it's like sucking people out of the like test track line to like alleviate crowds. It's just
right. You do have such a problem with crowds at Epcot because a large chunk of Epcot is not rides, it's not attractions. So yeah, if you've got a ride open, it needs to be pulling some people.
So to end this on a kind of high note, are there any current attractions that you would just lose your mind over if something happened to them? If it was announced tomorrow that this attraction was closing, would you start signing petitions to save it? What would you just lose your mind over if it went away, Stephanie?
I think my number one right now would be Tower of Terror, just because I've seen it happen in California, and I don't want them to start knocking on the door in Florida.
Mm-mm.
You leave our elevator alone.
I do love the Mission Breakout in Disneyland, but I do
not.
I love it. But Tower of Terror in Disney and Hollywood Studios has to stay. It cannot be changed.
Yeah, like I get that you like changed it in California because it's going to be like in the Marvel area. I get it, but don't take mine. I like mine better. Don't take mine.
I will revolt.
Yeah.
I don't think they will because we're getting Guardians of the Galaxy in Epcot, so I think Tower of Terror is safe.
I do take heart in the fact that it's right there across from Rock and Roller Coaster, and I don't see them, even if they were to retheme it, like I don't see them getting rid of that. I see them keeping that.
As long as I guess even if it wasn't maybe the Twilight Zone, if something happens like between some contract with Disney and Twilight Zone, I don't actually know who owns the Twilight Zone, but if something happens there, like I still think they could keep it all creepy and stuff.
Yeah, it doesn't have to stay the Twilight Zone, but it has to stay the Hollywood Tower Hotel.
Yeah, definitely. I agree on that.
And it should stay spooky. People love a spooky ride. I mean, look how well Haunted Mansion does.
Well, true. Now it's like on all of the like merch for.
Yeah, it's the icon for Hollywood Studios.
Yeah. So they better not touch it. Back up. How about you, Katie? What would you lose your mind over?
I would absolutely lose my ever-loving mind if Living with the Land was ever replaced.
Yes.
I would revolt. I would chain myself to the boats, like a full-blown, like they're not getting rid of Living with the Land. And I do think it would be a really difficult one for them to decide to get rid of. This is like, I don't ever see it happening, but it would be a nightmare for me.
There's so much infrastructure there for all of that. What it is.
And it serves so many, like it's not just a ride, it's their greenhouse, it's the behind the scenes tour. You would have to do something with Garden Grill. Like, I don't see it happening.
But I didn't think they would close the Circle of Life environmental fable either, because I figured, what's it hurting? But that closed.
Something else is coming there. Something else is coming into that theater. I can't remember what it was. We'll have to talk about that later. See, I'm fine with them closing that Circle of Life thing. But yeah, Living with the Land, I mean, that's a movie. They can change a movie like
Yeah.
snip snap. But like, it's such an important ride, and it's an educational ride, and it's a must do every time that I go there. So yeah, that better not go.
I think with the environmental situation and crisis that we have, it's more important than ever, and it's more important for Disney to be at the forefront of that movement. And Living with Land is a small part of that, but it is still a part of that. So I just think we're going to see it evolve and change, but hopefully never go anywhere. Kelly, what about you?
I'm going to go with Carousel of Progress. It's an important attraction. There's so much of Walt in that attraction. And it debuted at the 1964 World's Fair. Like, it has this huge history, and it's just so important. And if anything happens to it, I will cry so much. Yeah, it's a must do, right up there with Living with the Land. I have to do it every single time I'm there. And if you're standing outside waiting to go into the theater, watch the movie with Walt Disney and the Sherman Brothers talking about the plans for the Carousel of Progress and the music and the song, and take some time to learn what that attraction means. It's not just an excuse to go sit in the air conditioning. It's got history and it has meaning, and please learn that.
And if you see 4 girls standing inside a Carousel of Progress watching the video crying, don't worry, it's just us.
So Rachel, what would you be sad about if it left?
I would say Festival of the Lion King. I'm so emotionally attached. It's ridiculous, and I don't even know why. It's definitely my favorite thing, and I do it every single time.
It is a good show. I don't think it's going to go anywhere. I think Lion King is only, like, it's just being revived.
I mean, they built it a new theater. There's like the kids show on Disney Junior, right? Like the Lion Guard. Is that still going on?
Yeah.
They're doing the live action movie. So I think the Lion King is safe for right now.
Yeah, it better be. I also had to add in Fantasmic because that's also another like favorite thing.
I would hate to see Fantasmic go, but I wouldn't mind seeing it changed a little bit. Like, I wouldn't mind getting like the pirate ship.
Yeah.
Or just like a different, like maybe Moana or something, like something like that. I wouldn't mind a change, but I agree, Fantasmic needs to stay.
They can do so much with it though. Like, there's so many things they can do, and they can update that damn dragon. That thing is awful.
I like our sparkly dragon.
It's a freaking robot. Like, literally looks like a robot.
Rachel, I got news for you.
It is. It's a robot. But like,
I want an actual dragon on my Fantasmic stage. Thank you very much.
But the one in Disneyland is so like real.
All right. So whether you've been totally fine with saying goodbye to the old to welcome in the new, or if you've signed petitions to keep your favorites around, we'd love to hear from you. And here's how you can get in touch with us.
Email us at spillingthemadtea@gmail.com.
Tweet us at spillingmadtea.
And don't forget to follow us on Instagram. Tag us in pictures of your favorite attractions that you would never want to see leave at spillingthemadtea.
And thank you all so much for joining us today, and we look forward to talking to you all real soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.